Hey, it's producer Scott, and this is the Neutral Cider Hotel podcast. Now, for my fifth and final stop on my 2023 UK tour, I traveled from London back to Bristol, where it all began. Sitting down with the podcast host that induced the most side-splitting laughter, the guy that told Rainn Wilson to fuck off within 5 minutes of our interview with him, a man with a heart of gold and the hardest working man in cider, it's Mr. Martyn Goodwin-Sharman. We started out by discussing what Martyn has been up to over the past year, why his popular cider shit Instagram account is so quiet lately, what has motivated him to be so damn fit, and what's this impending baby news we've been hearing so much about? We also talked about how his views on cider have changed, his outlook on fatherhood, and what the Neutral Cider Hotel means to him. So here we are, the final episode of this little mini-series, checking in with the guys and a couple of cider makers we absolutely love. I really hope you've enjoyed these conversations as much as I did recording them. And a heartfelt thank you from me and the guys for supporting us for all these years. We are truly humbled and grateful that you listened, wrote us, left voicemails, and just always gave us the motivation to carry on. And we will carry on. Please feel free to reach out to us on social media, leave us a voicemail, or send us a note. We read them all and really appreciate each and every person that listens. As for this final episode, it was fucking fantastic chatting and laughing with such a genuinely good human. Saving the best for last, here he is, Mr. Martyn Goodwin-Sharman on the Neutral Cider Hotel podcast. Special check-in episode. Hey there, it's producer Scott, and I am wrapping up my trip through England, especially the countryside. I'm back where I started here in Bristol, and it's been quite a trip, and I will catch you up on an episode maybe later, but I wanted to save the best for last of these interviews, and so I decided to have a little sit down with our good friend, Mr. Martyn Goodwin-Sharman of the Neutral Cider Podcast Hotel. How are you doing, my buddy?
Good. I don't like the Neutral Cider Podcast Hotel.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
You mean, yeah, you've been away for a while, but
yeah, I'm rusty.
Wait
till you hear the other episodes.
I do enjoy listening to the Neutral Milk Podcast Hotel as well.
Cider Podcast Juice. So let's start off with kind of the whole purpose of these conversations, which is we haven't been doing this podcast for a while, and I wanted to catch up with people, but I will say, one of the most delightful parts of this trip is Martyn and Gabe and myself. I've never met in person either of you guys. So it was nice that we built such a friendship over Zoom for a couple of years doing this. And then I got to actually spend time with you and find out you're both absolute
I did when you started that and you excluded Grant. I was like, where's he going with this? I was like, what?
I did also. Let's see if you remember. What's the first thing you said to me when you saw me in the airport?
You're taller than I thought you'd be.
And what's the first thing Gabe said when he saw me at his wedding?
I never loved you. No, he said the exact same thing. He definitely said, you're not freakishly tall, but you're like abnormally tall, and I'm abnormally short, so it makes you freakishly tall if I'm normal. But somewhere between us there is average
human man. So it's been about a year and a half since we've done the podcast. We've caught up with the other guys. Now I'm catching up with you. Let's talk about what's been going on with you in life since then, and maybe you're always known for working in cider, whether it's out at cideries, whether it's in bars. So talk about what you've been doing in and around cider since then.
I can't even remember really where I was when we finished doing the podcast. What time of year was that? Do you know? Yeah, I'm looking at you. You have no idea either. Because that would have been.
I can look it up real quick.
Yeah, if you can.
This is good podcasting. I'll cut all this out.
Classic. listeners will not be able to see Scott just not doing what he said he was doing there.
I'm just looking at Instagram right now. It says that our last released episode was June 27th, 2022.
Like over a year ago. Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, since then, my big news is I've got a baby around the corner, like maybe next week.
Yeah. Maybe.
So I also
Sooner.
have way thinner hair and I'm more tired already. No, we were trying for a baby and we went to the doctors just to get everything checked out, and we had the amazing fertility journey, which was always as fun as you can imagine. And we do love the NHS, but fucking hell, a lot of fat shaming. But since then, I freaked out because basically the man being a bit overweight could also affect it. So I was like, oh my God. So I've started running. I go to the gym all the time. That's my entire life now. Don't really drink cider anymore. I'm just a gym guy.
Gym rat.
Although this does sound like a lie, because since you've been here, we've drank nonstop and not gone to the gym.
Exactly.
Not one day.
But you do look good. You look fit.
Thanks, babes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, well, the thing is, genuinely cider-wise, I've been helping out at Wilding, one of them.
Oh, no.
And
here we go.
Yeah, I've been helping out at Wilding, and this will be the second harvest with Sam and Becky, and just helping out there. But its cider's really wound down, and I'm not sure if I'm going to blame other factors like the recession, Brexit, pandemic, all of it, where I think money's definitely tighter, so paying for casual help's definitely drying up. But also, I have probably annoyed all the other cider makers as a self-employed guy. Definitely trying to keep relationships good with everyone. But in all seriousness, just not drinking as much cider as I've been in any other year, and I think mainly that's just down to I'm like, it's harder to run when you're hungover. So I've just kind of cut it down to celebrations and drinks every now and then.
Do you think your interest in cider has dropped at all since then?
No. And anytime I had to have like a crack a bottle with someone, or like we went Gabe's wedding the other day, and the starting sort of celebration drink was Ross and Y Perry, and I was like, oh my God, yes. It's the same excitement. It's like the old gig guy that, I haven't been around for a while, and then the first gig you go back to, you're like, look at my veins. So yeah, not at all waned. And I mean, yeah, the joy is when you're around other people like that, a convivial thing, and you're drinking cider. That's what it's all about for me. And you're not, deleted Instagram and haven't been drinking at home.
So cider shit isn't dead, but it's definitely an infinite hiatus.
Yeah, infinitely hiatus. No, I'm sure it's nice to have a recollection of drinks and all that, but it's more that's like just writing tasting notes and having that kind of dissection of the drinks. And the podcast was that as well. And now I don't have either, so I just don't drink like that much. Yeah. Oh wow, the one with Martyn's the most depressing.
Well,
okay.
But I was going to say also, I mean, just to cut right to it, the reality is the drastic change of you about to have a baby just kind of realigns things, right? Like,
yeah,
it as much as you love it and as much as you enjoy it and doing all those things, the reality is right now it's about making sure your wife and your future baby are going to be happy and comfortable and secure. And so it's like, get that work. So, producer Scott here telling English cider makers, hire Martyn. What the hell?
Yeah, if anyone's going
to convince them, it's going to be me. Let's come on. The American comes in and makes bosses everyone around.
The kid side of it, well, not even joking, but we had a big discussion. My brother's had a baby 4 months ago, and we were talking about like alcohol in the home growing up. And Hannah and I have this discussion where I think I was more interested in not having it around than she was. She was like, oh, I didn't know that would be a thing that you'd be like conscious of. But yeah, just having it be like, I mean, we've got I've now dwindled it down, but there's like 200 bottles of cider in this house. So you're like, let's
sorry, $1.99 now.
Yeah, there's $1.99 now that we've cracked into Wilding's Farmhouse Cider 2021. But yeah, it's like I don't want to have a kid to have the same experience of alcohol in the family as we had growing up, where it just seems like now in hindsight, just a lot of unaddressed alcoholism where you're like, oh my God, let's avoid that. Why aren't you laughing?
Sorry. No. I was fixing my headphones. Damn it. Sorry.
It's really quiet.
I know. It's a classic producer. Okay. Yeah, but I mean, that's one of the things that is interesting is as much as you love it and everything, like dream scenario here is you still get to be in it, whether it's working, doing maybe more collaborations like you've done or creating some things. So there's still opportunity out there. And based on my discussions, it sounds like cider's still doing pretty well.
Yeah. I mean, like the amount it's selling, who's buying it, and like seeing it from a lot of people's kind of I also do bookkeeping for a chain of bottle shops, so it's that kind of discussion of like what we're buying in between different producers and suppliers, and like cider's ticking along. It isn't like, oh, it's nosedived into nothing. And I think, to be honest, with the UK, I wouldn't have been surprised if in the next 3 years people drink a bit more cider, as it's always been positioned there of like, oh, cider, the new Prosecco, because they've been trying to push it as like, drink our native wine instead of the one you like, which I get. But if your wine and your beer go up that much that you're like, do you mind? I might try that cheaper alternative. I think it's going to be positioned there.
No, just clear my.
Oh God!
I turned away from the mic, and it looked like I was just aghast at what he had just said.
What a horrible thing to suggest! But yeah, there's ciders.
By the way, this is the intricacies of doing a podcast in person versus over Zoom. You wouldn't notice that if I did it over Zoom.
Also, yeah, that like muted kind of like ghost of someone turning away. But like cider wise, all the producers that I've been drinking for the last few years are still coming out with like, I think even more fun experiments. And I didn't go to the cider salon for the first year because I stupidly planned a fucking baby shower on that day. I had one thing to do. It was pick the date. And I went, oh no, got nothing in the diary. But I didn't go to that, but I did go to Native Vine. They had a sort of fine cider tasting with different makers. And I was like, to be honest, this is like a few in a row now where I've not had a bad drink. Like none have stood out as like faulty or anything like that. A few years ago, it was exciting, but it was like, you'd have a lot of, if it was like a gig, a lot of your mates' bands, that kind of, oh, I'm listening to this, am I?
And then they come up afterward. It's like, how is it?
I can't believe you were up there. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, man, you guys played a set. Wow. You really played.
I can't believe you could rock and roll. But now it's like, genuinely been like, I can't remember the last dud I had. And I think I said that in the pod in like year 2 of it when we'd gone past that Christmas and everything. And it was like, I can't remember the last bad drink I'd had. And genuinely way less complaints, way more consistent products. And I think just those makers, it's kind of proof of the pudding that cider just is it's an annual, biannual kind of process. So unlike brewing where you get like fucking couple brews in a year, you can get a couple brews in a week, go again and again and again. Cider's like this big wheel that keeps turning. And a lot of the makers that we drink, especially on the show, have now had, even the young ones, a good 6 years in them now. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, now I get it. And you're like, these are fucking fantastic.
I agree. I mean, I had the good fortune of just being around lots of people that have a lot of amazing ciders. And I've had, like, my experience has been just top, like just nothing but delicious, delightful, wonderfully tasting cider.
Bar one that I got you that was supposed to be fizzy. That was...
Oh, right. That wasn't your fault.
Let's not blame the maker.
Let's not blame the ciderologist for something like that.
No, for the record, we were given what appeared to be a bib cider instead of a keg cider.
Yeah.
So your commercial style, fizzy, crisp, light cider turned out to be
a warm, flat
one, baby.
And that was the first one I had right off the plane.
No, I think that was your first full drink, but the first sip, I'd got you a Foxwhelp, single variety Foxwhelp.
Yeah, maybe we'll post that video.
Yeah, I'll give you that video.
We'll get that video to post.
That was definitely welcome to England.
Speaking of the ciderologist, by the way,
go on.
I had the opportunity to finally taste the infamous sausage Perry.
Get out of town, baby.
First off, quite a bit of chunks in there.
That's the first thing you notice with a liquid, how solid
how chewy
it is.
Yeah. What are all I was definitely looking for it to taste like sausage, and it didn't at all. So, maybe the sausage has over the 3 or 4 years since he made it slowly
dissipated. Okay.
For me, it was pretty bitey. It was definitely tangy. But as we were talking, I was slow sipping it, which you've noticed me do a lot. And the thing I learned on the show is a lot of times when things are a little harsh, if you just sit there for, half hour and just let it kind of breathe out, and then it was nice.
But also with those kind of drinks, if you as the consumer are sitting into it as well and like easing in, you take that first sip and it's like palate correction. You're like, fucking hell. But then after 10 minutes, when you know it's there and you know what to expect, you start drinking it differently. I think definitely. I'm keen to try it just to know.
Yeah.
But listeners should know that our favorite thing to happen probably on your hop trip is today, when a woman had Gabe's Perry in Bristol, where we were walking down King Street and this woman just started taking out overcooked sausages. She sat down on a bench and just started lobbing them as hard as she could at the ground.
And it even looked like in her bag there were buns. Like she was literally taking the sausage out of rolls and then throwing the sausages down.
I think she wasn't well and she'd been to a barbecue.
Well, and obviously the best moment wasn't just a woman throwing down sausage, but Martyn walking up to her and saying,
sorry, do you mind if I have those?
And boy, the lightning that came out of her eyes, like she literally looked like she was going to stand up and murder Martyn. So he's like, "Oh, okay, I'm good. We're good."
just showing off to my American friend. just trying to get a quick laugh.
You did.
This is because I'm a middle child. Oh my god,
that was fun.
But yeah, so the Perry, what would you, if it was on the show, we would give like aromatics, flavor, and sort of that like finish. What's the texture like? Was it tannic, or was it more? Was there any residual sugar? Did it have a sweet edge, or was it just the sharpness?
It felt sharp. I would say it was acidic, and it did seem mildly tannic, but it felt closer, honestly, of all the things I've had since I've been here, to the Foxwhelp.
Okay.
It was, like I said, it kind of hit me hard at first. Yeah. I was like, ooh, okay.
I went, did it have residual sugar? Was it tannic?
Right.
Or was it acidic? And you went, yes.
Well, I was trying to give you
all of it. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a little, it was just the amount is the best way I could say it. There was some tannin. It wasn't a lot like stuff we're drinking now. It did feel acidic, and it was like that sharp, tangy, like
sit on the back of the mouth.
Yeah.
Well, cheers, Gabe. There you go.
There's the review.
Where can we buy that?
Apparently at his place. Okay, so now one of the things I'm curious is, since we started the show, all three hosts, no one had babies, and now all three hosts have or will soon have one. Tell me about your maybe hopes, aspirations, and potential fears of fatherhood.
I just hope that in the long run, my child won't grow up ever hearing the podcast. That's
because you're ashamed?
Well, not ashamed. too proud. I'm too much ego.
You just don't want to set the bar so high for your child that they'll never be able to achieve it, that they'll just be disappointed their whole life.
When you grow up, when you're my age, you can be called middle-aged by a celebrity. Okay, no, fears, aspirations. I don't know. It's more, I mean, that sort of anxiety that's natural with it, but it's more, I'm just like excited for all the firsts and like the family time and like having Hannah as a mum. I'm like actually pumped for. So the only thing I'm worried for is getting that fucking room painted before the baby gets here, because I'm not going to want to do it after that baby gets here. I'm telling you that.
It's just not going to happen.
Oh, no,
it'll be bare walls if you don't get it done.
Oh, yeah. Baby's going to be in a fucking cinder block prison. It's bare concrete in there. It's like train spotting.
So, okay. How about this? Do you imagine you will, when your child is of age, you will be introducing them to cider?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I think the same as like a lot of that kind of teen culture of like when you go abroad and you're showing your kid wine and food and it's like, oh, you're allowed to sip and all this. But also I just don't want, I like drank straight vodka when I was like 13, 14. I do not want my kid to have that understanding of it. But I also know I might be that militant kind of 60s kind of parent who's like, oh, you're drinking cider? We'll drink 400 ciders.
Smoke 200 cigarettes right now.
Rip 10 bongs and have 20 balls of Keefs. It just fucks well. Just drink Fox. I want them to have that kind of understanding that, yeah, it's like a perfect poison. Like, just be aware that it's fucking lethal, but dabbling is so sweet.
All right. So one of the things I've been asking all of the hosts of the Neutral Cider Hotel is an understanding of kind of two parts. One, talk a little bit about just your feelings about the podcast, like what you enjoyed about it and things like that. And then two, kind of what you hope moving forward, because we get lots of emails all the time asking, is there going to be more episodes, this and that. And we've addressed it a little bit, but it's been a while. And I've had both Grant and Gabe kind of chime in, and I thought it was important for you to give your 2 cents as well.
Yeah, well, obviously proud. I think it went downhill. I think the unreleased episode with Tom Oliver was the creme de la creme.
I may dig it up and put it out as
if you've got the video where I'm lying down the whole time
and Tom's fading to black through the whole thing. He had no light on in the room, so it's just the sun setting and you just see it getting darker and darker.
Oh, I had to hold that laugh I'm not allowed to make noise. This isn't my setup that we used to have, so I can't just roll out.
Right.
So if you heard a death rattle, oh wow. No, I'm really proud of. I mean, obviously, when I talk about it to people that don't know about it, you obviously bring up the kind of celeb side of it and the music side because they're more likely to know that than go, oh my God, you got the old founder of Hawks on. But to be honest, the episodes that I think of, I sometimes listen back to moments of are like the Caledonian Cider Factory.
Oh, yeah.
But just when it's four people clearly just going, fuck it, let's have a drink and have a laugh.
Yeah.
It's just magic. And when you've got, like today we brought up the Wildling thing in the garden, and it's like there's weird jokes that are permanently recorded just because I floundered it and got the wrong name. So then it's like, it'll bring up his arm length. But am I proud? Yeah. And my thing is that I don't want to do it again. And Gabe and Grant have been hounded me saying, look, please, we've got spare time coming out of our ass. And I'm like, guys, I'm above it. I'm not only am I better than you, I am the lifeblood.
And it's beneath me now. So I can't do it.
I am above us below. No, I've definitely suggested that we should have certain drinkers makers on. But obviously going to run out of spare time, but just the amount we get out of it compared to what you put in for essentially an outlet of drinking and having a laugh. If I were to have that anyway, I might as well have a finished product at the end of it. So I'm very much in the camp of let's get to it and crank some out.
Yeah. I mean, I when I look back on the podcast, it started out so it's such hey, pandemic's happening. Let's just try this, see what happens. I think our aspirations were measured, and we were just like, yeah, we don't know what's going to happen here. And man, I feel like out of the gate, maybe one or two, we just felt like there was something magical with it. Just the dynamic of you guys and putting it all together, and just the guests you guys got and the chemistry that it all played through. It really created something special. And I think not only for cider, I think in podcasting in general, it's just so different. There's just nothing else like that out there.
Well, I genuinely, I remember you saying that like the world needs to hear the voice of three white guys.
Well, and a fourth one chiming in,
and a ginger beard. Those are the people
and
that
hopefully most of our guests would be white males as well.
Also, we had like a good batting average of like women at first. We had like more women. I was like,
big stretch.
Oh my God, we've really got to like keep going with this, because my God, like the amount of guys interviewing guys that are going to turn out to have guy opinions. But no, I feel that, cider's definitely, I think we were lucky that it seems more closed-minded, and a lot of impressions of like country bumpkins and that would be in the cider industry. So we were aware of what we wanted to talk and what we wanted to say and who we got on. And like, so I really, really am pleased with it. And I can't remember your question now. I'm just bragging about how good I am.
I was just reflecting on, we had these kind of low expectations, and it really just felt fun and interesting. And I mean, I was getting pissed in the middle of the day, basically, while you guys were drinking. And
you guys fucking ask me anything you want. I'll say you fucking anything.
Also, we're willing to take the piss as much as possible. And honestly, like, I can't think of a time in my life where I knew once a week I was going to laugh so hard, like my stomach would hurt. So
what a routine in like the end of the world.
Yeah.
Like when I can't remember who I was saying it to the other day, where it was like, no, I genuinely thought I was going to die. Like really, it was fucking scary. And like when I was working in a bar and it was like no vaccine, and you had people coming in with masks, you didn't know if it was airborne. It was transferred over touch or anything like that. So you'd have people just desperately coming in going, oh, thank God I haven't been in a pub in ages, I'll miss it. Just take off their masks, drink from a glass and hand it back to you. So it was just like, it was like...
You're getting the tongs out and taking the glass from them.
It's like when you tell a 5-year-old what germs are, and then they're like, well, I can see bugs on everything. It was
But
I was like, if anyone's going to die of it, I thought I'd be the one to have like a crap death. I've often thought this.
Oh, wow.
So it was very much very triggering, everything's gone wrong. So then having a weekly outlet where you're like, all right, we'll drink, we'll have a laugh. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, now I'm hanging out chatting to like the Simon from Biffy episode is like, hang on, what? What is happening here?
Yeah, that one for you, I feel like was a turning point, because it just suddenly made this thing. It took it to another level in a way that even I don't think you anticipated. We had talked about that plan, but it was like when it was real and he's sitting there and joking with us and having a good time.
Well, when you got him being like with his really deep Welsh accent talking about Jason Sharman, I was like, what the fuck is it? Also, the Ben Gibbon episode where he goes, I played the start of it the other day, and you've put the clips to begin it with, kind of thing. Yeah. And the first one's like, the other guys total dicks, but that Martyn. And I was like, where you get those slaps where you're like, oh yeah, man, we lived through a pandemic and we had fun.
Yeah,
like it was fucking fun, and it'll never be again.
Stop it. I mean, I've said it a few times before, but my I loved every minute of doing it. And I think the best part, maybe except the 15-hour editing days sometimes, but the best part about it was that
camaraderie.
Out of it, I got 3 best friends and now even more sealed with this visit and getting to hang out with you guys in person. Like I said, when I first got here, I was like, what a but now I feel good about it. So
the first words you said to me were, "You're shorter than I thought."
What if I said, no, it would have been worse if I said, "You're taller than I thought you would be."
You're more cunty than I thought you'd be.
But yeah, I mean, that's, and friendship carries on, and I'm very confident this podcast will carry on. We still are cooking plans up and doing things. So it's just, I'll be honest with you. I'm going to be really interested to see, because how much both Gabe and Grant, like once the child came, like they all had these plans. And then once the child came, it just like changed them.
Yeah. Well, you wait when you're like, welcome to the Neutral Cider Hotel.
It's producer Scott by myself.
I'm your host, Gabe Cook, and yada, yada, yada. I don't know why I started with your accent, but it's like, Martyn, what you been up to? Well, I haven't exercised in a while and I've been drinking a lot. Also, I went Scottish.
Fat bastard. That's me now.
Straight. When my brain went, right, take the piss. Do Scott's voice.
Yeah.
Scott's voice, Grant's voice. Fuck it now.
We're
all over the shop.
We're all mixed. But yeah, so
not having a good day.
So yeah. Anyway, excited for the future, and we actually have some guests we're working on when this thing comes back. That's going to be really exciting. So we'll just keep the plan in motion, and when we get everyone together, you'll start seeing more episodes. But I wanted to create these just to kind of let you know we're still out there, we're still thinking about it, and cider's still an important part of all of our lives on some level or another. And Martyn's got a joke that I'm just yammering. So. Don't tell me I said Neutral Cider Hotel.
All right. When I was a kid, my mum and dad divorced, and I remember my dad took us to watch the Pokemon movie at the cinema, and then we went out after, and he took us to get like fucking Burger King or something. But you could see he hated that film, and it sucks. So he just sat there like, Jesus Christ, having a tough time. And he tried to tell us how good it was going to be, and like, nothing's going to change. And you had the exact same tone of voice as a man who didn't believe what he was saying. Yeah,
it's okay. Nothing's going to change.
Yeah, we got guests. We got guests that we're working on that are going to be great.
Oh God. Well, if you enjoy that level of enthusiasm and that level of comedy, then boy, wait till you see what we got coming for you. So. Anyway, Martyn, thank you so much for hosting me, being such a good guy, and taking the time today to chat with me.
Dude, absolute pleasure. And for anyone who's listening, I don't think you realize how much of the podcast is entirely Scott's generosity, hard work, and just sheer commitment to the bit. So thank you very much. And yeah, obviously pleased to actually see you in person and have a mate here that's like, yeah, you don't realize how much it's like, oh, you're a mate, never met you.
Yeah.
That is so fucking weird. This is like MSN mates.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's weird. I mean, I feel, it feels like we've been best friends for a lifetime, and that's awesome.
It's been like 2 weeks.
Yeah. Barely even, about a couple days out on the outside. But yeah, thank you so much. And I can't wait to start recording again. Lots of love to you, bud.
Good. Love you, bud.